New York bank is hit with over $4.1 billion in deposit flight. Hey folks, how's it going? This video is going to be about an article on the New York bank, New York Community Bank. But this is less about the article and more about the bank itself and what this is a sign of. But I'm going to get into the article and then I'm going to share some thoughts. So the article is from the Daily Hodl. It's $4.165 billion in deposit flight hits New York Bank as Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell warns more lenders will collapse. So a New York-based bank is witnessing the exodus of billions of dollars in deposits amid an industry-wide warning from Fed Chair Jerome Powell. New York Community Bank's new earnings report shows total deposits fell from $81.365 billion at the end of the start of the year to $77.2 billion on March 6th, a drop of $4.165 billion in less than 3 months. NYCB's declining deposits come amid concerns about the bank's commercial real estate exposure. This is an ongoing trend among multiple banks, not just this one, and its overall balance sheet due to a series of acquisitions, including a majority of the failed Signature Bank. Okay, I'm going to break off there for just a minute. If you'll remember, early last year, there were several banks that failed within the first 3 to 4 months of the year. Signature Bank was one of these. Now, New York Community Bank came in when the FDIC took over Signature Bank. New York Community Bank came in and bought up a bunch of their assets. You know, big sharks eating up the smaller sharks. So now they're having their own problems. And this is all tied into the commercial real estate issue that's going on in this country. You know, back in 2008, 2009, it was residential real estate, you know, housing loans, mortgages, things like that, that were the root of that financial crisis. We're having a similar thing happen now, but instead of being residential issues, it's more of a commercial real estate issue. But I'm going to get back to the article here. The bank's deposit data comes as Powell warns that more bank failures are on the way. Speaking before the House Financial Services Committee, Powell says that small and medium-sized U.S. banks are particularly vulnerable due to their exposure to the struggling commercial real estate market. Quote, "We have identified the banks that have high commercial real estate concentrations, particularly office and retail, and other ones that have been affected a lot. We identify them, and we are in dialogue with them." They're asking basically, do you have your arms around this problem? Do you have enough capital? Do you have enough liquidity? Do you have a plan? You're going to take losses here. Are you being truthful with yourself and with your owners? And so we've been working with them. For some time, we've been doing that. This is a problem that we'll be working on for years more, I'm sure. Okay, so right there, he's saying that this is a serious problem. These banks will fail. And this is not something that's just going to happen over the next couple of months. This is going to be over the next few years. There will be bank failures, back to the quote here, but this is not the big banks. If you look at the very big banks, it is not a first-order issue for any of the very large banks. It's more smaller and medium-sized banks that have these issues. We're working with them. We're getting through it. I think it's manageable is the word I would use. But it's a very active thing for us and the other regulators, and it will be for some time. Citing data from the real estate intelligence firm TREP, Reuters reports that New York Community Bank's commercial real estate concentration ratio is hovering at 477% as of Q3 2023. Ooh, that's pretty high. TREP notes that a bank's CRE concentration ratio shows how much of its loan portfolio is made up of commercial and multifamily mortgages, as well as construction and land loans. Banks with high levels of CRE concentration may face challenges as they endure significant losses if borrowers are unable to make their scheduled loan payments. All right, so that's basically all of that article. But here's the deal. They're trying to tell you that this is not going to affect the major banks. And while the major banks may have more capital, more liquidity, and more assets to fall back on to prevent them from going through a major issue for the moment. Granted, that's for the moment. I do believe these issues will eventually affect the major banks. The problem is these smaller banks don't have the backing, they don't have the resources, the assets, or the capital to deal with this. They've over-leveraged themselves in a market that is quickly falling apart. The lessons of 2008, 2009 were not learned. They did not learn from those lessons from that time. So we're going through this all over again. The problem is that I'm already seeing calls all across the internet about people saying, pull your money out of the banks now. Pull your money out. This, even though this is not affecting major banks directly, at least for the moment, this could potentially cause a run on smaller banks, which could potentially cascade into the larger banks. If there starts a major bank run, they will shut the banks down, and this could easily spread to the larger banks. It would be foolish to deny that that's a possibility. Now, obviously, if it does spread to the larger banks, the government would probably step in and bail them out like they did in 2008, 2009. And that would not be a good thing necessarily. And the reason I say that is it would be better for the banks to fail outright than for the government to step in, bail them out, because every time the government steps in to bail them out, yeah, you push the problem off several years, like 2008 to now, but the problem is so much bigger now than what it was back then. The fallout from this issue could potentially be much, much larger than 2008, 2009. That financial crisis will be minuscule compared to what we could potentially go through if these banks start falling like dominoes. It could end up really, really bad. Another problem is that the shares of this bank have dropped drastically. It's down to like $1.46 per share, I think, the last time I looked at it. Now, you're going to have some people that are going to say buy, 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 and they're going to buy up that stock like crazy. The problem is you're buying stock in a bank that has major issues, which is not a wise thing to do. So you're going to have people that don't know any better. They're going to be investing in this bank, and then the bank will most likely end up being taken over, and people will be out their money because that stock's just going to tank. At least that's how I see it going. But you've got, on the flip side of that, you've got other people saying, pull all your money out of the banks, put it in QFS, put it in Bitcoin, put it in this, put it in that. If you pull your money out, what you need to be putting it in is cash at home, not in a safety deposit box, because I'll tell you this, if a bank collapses, the FDIC can come in and seize the safety deposit boxes and prevent you having access to them. So a safety deposit box, even though it's not an actual account, like a checking account, it's not secure because it's subject to seizure in itself. And you want to be able to have that money where you can access it. So have it at a home in a safe, or have it in an alternative location, you know, whatever's best for you. That's for you to decide. But have cash on hand. If you believe in investing in gold and silver, that's an option. I would hesitate to put more than a small amount in crypto. It's my belief that crypto will be so heavily regulated by the government that in the end, it's going to become useless. It's going to be traded like a stock. The original intent of crypto was to be a anonymous, independent form of currency separate from the government that people could use as a backup. But it's my belief that crypto is going to be so heavily regulated that it's not going to be able to function that way, regardless of what all the crypto hounds tell you. So if you want to invest in crypto, that's fine. Invest some, but I would make it a very minor portion of my my holdings. Bear in mind, I'm not a financial advisor, so don't take this as advice. This is just my opinion. But I would hold most of my money in cash. I would probably put some in silver or gold if I could afford it, and very little in crypto. But even Jerome Powell said in this article, more banks will fall. This will happen to more banks. This is coming, folks. This is what we've been talking about for a long time now. So this is what I've been telling you to prepare for. Pay off your debts, build a cash reserve, invest your money wisely in things that you can hold, tangible assets you can hold. Diversify your money into your preps. So you don't want all your money into food. You don't want all your money in guns and ammo. You don't want all your money in gold and silver. You want to diversify it just like you would a stock portfolio. That's just common sense. That's being smart with your money. Don't have all your money tied up in any one thing, because that's how you get burned. That's how you go broke. But yeah, I see this bank eventually failing. Right now, they're in they're trying to raise capital as fast as possible to bail themselves out. And there's a number of ways they can do this, or there's a number of ways that they are doing this, none of which are going to be good for people investing in this bank, or, in my opinion, customers of this bank. And again, this is not the first, it's not gonna be the last. So just be mindful, don't keep all your money in the bank, particularly any one bank. That's just setting yourself up for heartache. So that's all I've got for this video. Just a quick one I wanted to throw out there. I appreciate you guys watching. Like, share, subscribe if you haven't. And as always, stay safe, take care, keep prepping. And until next time, folks, I'll catch you later.